So I'm going to start. I only had small pieces, so what I had to do, I had to weld all these pieces together. But what I'm going to start with doing is just cutting all my rails all down to size. So to build my frame, I have 4 at 16 inches. Those are going to be my uprights. 4 at 18 or 20 inches. That's going to be your horizontal side to side. And the main length of my trommel is going to be these, which are cut at 7 feet. So that's 84 inches on those. So I've got the frame all laid out. I've got it set up to where, give me a second, recording with one hand, not the easiest. So my width is going to be about 24 inches, both ends. Check squareness, check parallel. These are all parallel. This is going to be the bottom. I've made sure my 2 long runs are completely straight when I welded them. If I'm concerned about this and the strength later on, I'm just going to put a piece of flat stock in there, cross that face and weld that all in. So I've got everything all framed up, ready to go. I'm going to start welding. I'm going to tack each corner. That way it doesn't come out of square, and I'm going to check square once I get everything tacked before I do my final welds. Put some good hefty tacks on there. I'm going to go through, check that it's square, tweak it where I need to, and then go ahead and do the final welds. So this is all welded up now. We got all 4 corners. I'm going to flip it over, weld the other side just to make sure it's all nice and tight. Make sure it penetrates all the way. So I went ahead, got this all welded up, got both sides welded up. I'm going to weld the next one, get that done, and then we'll go to uprights. So I got both your frames done. And the way I'm doing this, got my 18 inches for my vertical pieces. So what I did, I tacked these 2 right here, squared this up, and then came around and tacked this one. That way this comes in square in case this piece of angle had shifted to the side. I'm pulling that to square everything up. So I've got a perfect 90 on this corner. Now I'm going to do that to all 4 sides. Tack them a little better, probably inside outside, and then go ahead and put that second piece on. So I just went through, had to put a few tacks just to get it to hold. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to check for square, then I'm going to go ahead, get that all welded together. So I got all the gussets on. I got this piece welded solid and these 2. So I did 41 5/8 to the outside edge from right behind where that plate goes. 5 inches from this edge to this edge, and then 1/2 inch back. These are both swivel casters, but I just figured any play I can move and then weld them solid. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put my 2 shopping cart wheels, and I'm going to put them at 6 inches from the outside. So that lines up perfectly with that hole there. This one I'm going to have to drill. And then I'll have to tack them in place once I have them bolted. So I got the holes drilled and I put these in. What I'm going to have to do with this channel, it has a lip and I can't quite get a socket in. So I'm going to have to cut these, move them over. But these are centered, those are centered. So that means my trommel body should stay completely centered over top of the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 tacks in this on the bottom where it swivels. Tack that in, and then go ahead, tighten that all the way up. Put the trommel on, the trommel body. So I went ahead, put just a tack on there, bolted it all the way tight from the bottom. So what I did now is I took my trommel body, and my trommel body, what it is it's 2 30-gallon drums welded together, something I had laying around, but you can easily get 2 30-gallon drums, cut the ends out, weld them together. I got them on the roller now, and as you can see, it rolls pretty well. What I'm going to do, I'm going to roll it one direction. I need to pick one direction for one simple reason. One of these swivel wheels is going to turn and lock into one of these ribs to keep the whole trommel from sliding back. I'm going to then weld the swivel to itself so it can't turn anymore, and then I'm going to check, make sure it rolls freely once I get that welded. So I got it all welded up. Now it can rotate nicely. Next step, I think, is start cutting the trommel and getting that part ready. So the way I'm doing this here for the layout of the pipe is what I did, I started with one of these seams that run down the pipe, and I took a string line and made a straight line. I started with that, and what I'm doing now is I took a piece of string. So I divided it out till 4, and this piece of string is, let's see here, 11 1/4 inches. So that's my, so what I've been doing, I've been setting this string down, running it down the seam, all the way down, and then taking a pencil, putting a mark. So this is going to be the length of my grate. Now I've got a 6-inch string, and so that's going to go in between the different layers, in a sense of grate, metal, grate, metal. So I'm going to have a 6-inch gap between each section of grate. And so what I've been doing, same exact thing, 6-inch string, running it down the pipe, and putting a mark on it. And I'll do that on both sides. Let me go do that to that side real quick. Put my 6-inch mark, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here with my chalk line, find my mark, chalk line on, run it across, and snap a line between the 2 grate lines. So that gives me a line. I'll come back through with the soapstone and make that line heavier. Do the same on my 6-inch and keep doing that all the way around the pipe so I can section out the pipe that I'm going to cut. So that hopefully it's a little easier to see, I put on the GoPro. So I'm going to go ahead, put my string on my previous line, run it down to where I can then come over here, put my mark on it, and that's where I'll run my chalk line. So I do that with both the 11 1/4 and the 6-inch. My mat didn't quite add up. This string is about 1.5 inches long, but it's not a big deal to me. The grates are all the same. and there's more than enough structural support still in the pipe. And if I'm worried about it, I'll just run some rebar to help agitate the material. So as you can see, between this upper line and this bottom, I'm going to have my grate have this 6-inch strip. So I went ahead, marked it out with chalk line or with my soapstone, so it's a lot more visual. And you can see there's my line, there's my line. And if I go this way, you'll see my other lines, and this is the seam I started with.